All right, guys, welcome back to part two of our 10-part series where we're walking through kind of everything, not everything about our lives, but about our lives and our path and our journey. And last week, 2 weeks ago, we introduced it. We introduced this series because it was a kind of new idea that we had. And last week, part one was really about just our past from our childhood. Angie expressed her childhood. I expressed my childhood. Hers was much more, and this isn't a comparison game, but Angie's was much more compelling and much more painful and much more to endure than mine. But it's important to have both childhoods out there and both experiences of life because it builds upon each other. And when you merge these into one relationship, I guess, or shared energy pattern, then it creates a dynamic that was very toxic. And we shared that the first 16 years of our life were our lives together were very, very toxic and very we endured a lot of hardship, and there was a lot of physical, mental, emotional abuse in our lives, in our marriage, and in our parenting and the way we parent our kids. And in 2016, everything collapsed, and we got the opportunity to rebuild. And last week, I kind of teased that this week would be about the difference between, let's call it a survival-based relationship and a conscious relationship, because the path going forward that we're going to talk about over the next 8 or 9 weeks, including today, is very much how to shift everything from a survival-based lifestyle to a conscious lifestyle, and a survival way of being to a conscious way of being. And it really, I think the story and the crux and the thing that we're asked about a lot is, how did you two rebuild your relationship from all of that and move into this new lifestyle where people can only see how we're living now. They don't, most people in our lives didn't see the carnage and the wreckage of the past, but it looks night and day. And I think this is where the story really, really gets good.
Yeah. And first, I want to apologize for how I sound. I am absolutely atrociously sick again for like the third time this winter. So please forgive me. And this is funny. That ties into a conversation we had on our mastermind yesterday about embarrassment, about people feeling embarrassed about how they show up. And I was relating to one of our clients talking about her feeling embarrassed about showing up on camera discussing real estate. And I talked about how I'm still a little self-conscious about how I look on camera. And so the universe said, hey, let's go ahead and give you one more thing to be self-conscious about. You're probably going to cough and sniffle your entire way through this podcast. Yeah. So please forgive me. I sound like a frog.
So there's tissue paper here, and there's water and everything we can to minimize, because she sneezes every few minutes and she coughs in between.
But we're still going to get this done.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm ready to talk about this because when you created the structure of this series, I think one of the first things that I thought about was the conscious versus unconscious relationship piece, was how I reacted at first when you made this decision to start this journey, and I was still kind of not on board, but it was like, okay, I don't want to lose my family. And I love telling the story is I remember when you had brought this to my attention, you weren't going to work for anyone else. You're going to start your own business, and you started working out, you started eating healthy, you were losing weight. And I was like, all right, if this dude's going to get hot and rich, that's mine to have. I put 16 years into it. That is no one else is getting that. So that was a pretty damn unconscious way to look at it. But
yeah,
that was my first thought.
And I think for me now, as you're saying that, I think instead of just talking about a survival relationship versus a conscious relationship, I think it's maybe discussing, setting the stage for how it all happened. And that at some point when I started doing all this work, I got really, really tired of the life. Angie was no fun to be around anymore. The energy was awful. And she was no worse of a person. But as my energy was elevating, and as my consciousness was elevating, and as my awareness was elevating, and all of these beliefs, and I started seeing through some of the fog, was like, I'm not willing to be around this anymore,
Yeah.
and deal with this. And I tried to do things to help her step into a higher step way. And I would earmark little pages of things that I was reading and send videos of things and she wouldn't read any of it. She wouldn't listen or watch any of it. She just completely ignored it. I'm like, okay, well, if she's not going to if she's not hungry for any of this and she doesn't have an appetite or she's not open to any of this, obviously she's not going to grow. We're going to grow apart. We are growing apart. And I filed for divorce.
Right.
And when I came home and told Angie that I had filed for divorce, which we had threatened a billion times,
literally
a billion, I told Angie, and she was high and she was on the phone, but she was very, very high. And she basically laughed at me.
Yeah.
And I went we had been sleeping in separate bedrooms for months. And I went into my bedroom, and which just happens to be our cat room now. So we're cleaning out the energy of all that madness. But I went to my bedroom, and the next day I woke up because I was still doing my spiritual work, my meditating, my work, my reading, my whatever, my energy work. And when she came downstairs, she was sober-ish again, whatever. And she said, I don't want this. And I was in a place of total resistance. I was like, no, I just gave you months and months and months of opportunity and you wanted nothing to do with it. Now I dropped the hammer and suddenly you're on board. So it's just going to be a matter of time before you return to the old behavior. Mm-hmm. And I know I resisted it. What's your perspective on that? Tell your side of that story.
I just told it. That was it. That was my entire thought process.
Yeah.
That was it. I mean, yeah. And I remember, I also remember there was, I remember one of the most painful things that I remember you saying to me was you came into our bedroom one day and you were like, your energy is disgusting and I cannot be around it.
You don't feel good to be
around it. Yeah. However you said it, it was just, I was like, wow. And I think that was, and again, subconsciously, because back then I couldn't have told you that this is what was happening. But looking back, I was like, that was probably a pretty pivotal thing that, like, wow, what do you mean I'm hard to be? What do you mean? That was very...
Up to the point that I started growing, I felt the same as you.
Yeah.
And when there's two people in a relationship, typically, if you think about, the popular version of this is called the law of attraction, where if I'm a 1, then she's a 1.
Yeah.
Because I attracted her into my life. So, and or vice versa. Like if I'm looking at her going, she's she on a scale of consciousness 0 to 1 or to 10. If she's a 1, then it means I'm a 1 because I'm like, we're
right. And 9's not going to be with a 1.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And when somebody starts the spiritual journey and the spiritual work and really starts to let go of shadows and path, and we're going to talk about samskaras and all this stuff and start releasing things from the nervous system and start reshaping their belief system, they're going to start moving up the scale of consciousness. Maybe at first it's a 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, but then as you understand the work, you start to make bigger moves. And the wider you get on that scale, the more uncomfortable it is. And there's only 3 things that can happen, right? One is the person that's a 1 tries to bring the other person back down. Mm-hmm. The other is the person that's in at a lower level of consciousness says, how do you do that? I want to participate with that and jumps up to that level, or they separate, right? So, and I worked kind of tirelessly. I tried to get her to come up because I was feeling better and I was experiencing different things and I was seeing life differently and seeing the madness. And I tried hard to get her to come up because I didn't want to lose her. But she tried hard to get me to come back down. And then when I filed for divorce, it was I think that's when it finally, there was that message that, wow, he's not coming back. And unconsciously she's saying, he's not coming back down to my level. So I got to jump up to his.
Because up until that point, I think it was just me trying to pull you back down. Because,
Well, and then, but both of us were for 16 years. I mean, to be fair, for 16 years, we were both at a 1 and we couldn't articulate that we were both in a 1, but this is the important part to understand. And I remember being out on a run and I was listening to an audiobook when I heard this line and it was like a lightning bolt. And a spark of not inspiration, but of awareness that I had always been looking for. And I hear, in my coaching and in my teaching or in workshops, we've had people in our workshops that were just complete victims of relationships, and they just kept pleading victim over and over and over. This person's doing this to me. This person's doing this to me. And it was an insight that said there's never only one toxic person in a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
And that's a very, very hard pill to swallow when somebody says,
it was all you.
They're
toxic. They're narcissists.
You.
They're like, I'm fine. They're the problem.
Right. And I think that's how a lot of people, I remember being in corporate, and we had an HR leader in our business. And she said that she wanted to go to couples counseling because, her marriage was, she had some hardship in her marriage. And when the counselor started turning the mirror on her, she's like, no, we're not here for me to be fixed. We're here for him to be fixed. And the counselor's like, yeah, but maybe you own some of this. And she said that was hard to endure and hard to swallow. But eventually she saw how true that was. In a toxic relationship, and what I mean by that is where there's physical, mental, emotional abuse, where there's a lot of addiction, where there's lack of peace, where there's
lack of communication,
disharmony, where there's my five weapons of someone who's operating from a place of weakness: guilt, shame, anger, threats, and blame. If those are weapons that people use when they are trying to be a victim, all right, when they feel like they're a victim: guilt and shame, anger, threats, and blame. And I put them in that order just so that they kind of roll off the tongue, and they're cheeky. Guilt and shame, anger, threats, and blame. If you use those in your life, or if you are in a relationship where those are present, if they're a weapon that you use against someone, or if they're a weapon that somebody uses against you, and you continue to let it fester, then you are in a toxic dance. All right. And that's a hard pill to swallow for some people, especially people that think that they have it figured out and everybody else is all fucked up. Because that's where we were. We were all fucked up and we didn't know it. Well, I mean, it didn't feel good, but we looked outside and we said, yeah, you guys are all doing it wrong because whatever, XYZ, and we justified our poor behavior.
Yeah, I can't remember how we did that, but we did.
It was nuts. So just think about that. If you're in a toxic dance and you have some semblance of victimization or something, right? Some area of weakness or operating from some place of fear. If you use guilt, shame, anger, threats, and blame to try to control the environment or control other people or control circumstances or manipulate circumstances or get things to happen for you, to get people to give you what you want. If you
to behave in a way that you need them to behave. Yeah.
Yeah. If you use any of those to influence the world outside of you to rearrange itself or to rearrange something so that you feel that you can be okay, then there's something in you that's very survival based. And I think that goes back to, that's how we kind of start with survival relationship versus conscious relationship.
Right. And that's when we talk about the one trying to bring the person back down. I think that's what it was again, back to even the comment I made. That was another piece of the survival relationship was, this is how we've always behaved. This is how we've always shown up. This is how we've always acted. We need to continue this way because that's safe. That's
all we knew.
It's all I knew. It's all we knew. And I mean, and again, going back to talking last week about our childhoods, that was better than how I grew up. So in my mind, it was, everything was fine.
Yep.
And again, talking this out loud right now just makes me realize how absolutely insane and ridiculous and backwards it all was.
But that's the life that we lived. And next week we're going to talk about, and we still have plenty to go here because we're going to describe a survival-based relationship and a conscious-based relationship. But next week we're going to dive into the nervous system. And I'm just going to tease this right now because this is important to understand. But the nervous system has one job and one job only. And what is it?
To keep you safe.
No.
Oh, to keep you alive.
Keep you alive.
Sorry. Jen Kutch, I stole that from you.
That is everyone's first go-to. It is everyone's first go-to.
It's not like we don't talk about this every damn week.
Every single week on multiple calls. The nervous system has one job and one job only, and that is to keep you alive. Even if those conditions are unsafe, because the way the nervous system tries to keep you alive is to keep you in
familiar circumstances.
And even if they're unsafe,
right.
Because inside of familiar circumstances, regardless if they're safe or not, it knows how to operate there. And unfamiliar circumstances naturally feel like there's no control, there's no familiarity, there's an uncertainty that the nervous system wants no parts of. So this is why self-sabotage happens constantly and commonly, because it's not that the person's a bad person, it's that their nervous system can't handle something that it's not super familiar with. The nervous system has one job and one job only, to keep you alive. It does that by keeping you in familiar circumstances, and it keeps you in familiar circumstances because it knows how to operate there. I think a requirement in joining the Inner Wealth Mastermind is going to be getting that tattooed on everyone's forehead, because there's a natural tendency to say safe. And that's the reason that people don't understand that people go from unsafe relationship to unsafe relationship to unsafe relationship to unsafe relationship, because the nervous system knows how to operate there, and the nervous system is just trying to keep you alive.
Yeah, I think you've asked that question on every mastermind call for like the past 3 months, and either Jen or Rachel or somebody always comes out and says
most people get it wrong. Yeah,
it just feels natural to say
to keep you safe. It's not true, because I've worked with people that have been physically, mentally, emotionally abused serially in relationship after relationship, and they keep entering these unsafe, unhealthy relationships. And when as they're moving from unsafe to unhealthy relationship to unsafe and unhealthy relationship, it's literally because their nervous system is wired to see that as familiar and natural. And it doesn't know how to operate outside of there. It doesn't mean they're stupid. It doesn't mean they're a bad person. It doesn't mean they're delusional. It just means they're operating at their highest level of consciousness and awareness, which is through the nervous system and as it's built at that moment.
I mean, and the saying, you don't know what you don't know. And if you don't know how to be in a healthy relationship,
for sure,
what a toxic relationship is going to feel normal for you, because our relationship felt normal to me, and that was a step up from my last relationship, and it was a step up from where I came from. So every step up was just what was one level higher, but still like, oh, okay, cool, this feels right.
But you were still modeling a lot of, and this is why we did the childhood last week, is a lot of what you were modeling in our marriage, you brought forward from what you saw out of dad and stepmom and your mom and whatever grandmom with the liquor bottles and throwing liquor bottles and hitting people with liquor bottles, because I might have gotten a lot of shit thrown at me in our marriage. But you brought that forth. I saw a lot of trying to appease, of self-sacrifice, not playing the victim, but I also saw a lot of retaliation and a lot of yelling and screaming and arguing and yelling and tearing down and condescension and manipulation. And I saw a lot of that shit. So I carried that shit forward. Right. And then inside the walls of our home, there was just a lot of abuse. You held these unspoken expectations. I held these hidden resentments, and I also held some unspoken and spoken expectations. We both held spoken and unspoken expectations. And when our expectations weren't met by the other person, which was impossible, then we backlashed and we attacked. And it was just abusive and volatile, physical, mental, emotional abuse on freaking every level.
Yeah, it really was.
And that's a survival-based relationship. I felt incomplete. I felt insecure. I was afraid of losing my family. I was trying to feel, I wrote a book called The Imposter in Charge, because there was a level of inadequacy and insignificance in me that I was trying to solve. right? I felt unloved. I felt unlovable. And all of those things I was looking for her to solve.
Right.
And she can't solve those for me. She couldn't solve those for me. And that's a survival-based relationship where you enter it to try to feel a sense of completeness with the other person, or expect the other person to fill up that incompleteness. Now, with me saying that about what I wanted you to solve for me that you couldn't possibly solve, what did you expect to solve for me, or what did you expect for me to solve for you inside of our marriage?
I think it was just I think it was simply security. I think it was just security based, finding, just feeling secure. I mean, because I can't think of anything that I was trying to get you to solve within me. I mean, fear of abandonment. So leaving. Abandonment.
You just read my mind.
Abandonment, safety, security.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that those would be the three main ones.
Yeah. And look, it's not that she didn't love me. It's that I felt unlovable and unloved, and there's nothing she could do about that. It's not that she felt unloved or that I didn't love her. It's that she felt unloved and unlovable. And I think we shared that together.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that that I didn't make her feel safe. It's that she couldn't feel safe. She couldn't feel safe regardless of what was happening around her.
Yeah.
No matter how much money we had, no matter how big our house, no matter how matter how many vacations, no matter where we live,
Mm-hmm.
wherever you go, you're there you are.
Right.
And nothing on the outside of you, and this is the point, nothing on the outside of you can solve internal conflicts inside. But when you expect the external world to solve internal conflicts, this is when you're in survival mode.
Yeah. And I think that you growing up in a way that it was someone always dying or, being left, I think that it was a protection mechanism against that too, that it was so backwards. My God. I knew, like, I was so used to people leaving that, why he's going to leave too. And we talked about that before.
And I had no intention,
Mm-hmm.
zero intention. And it started, it didn't start late in our marriage. Mm-hmm. That started from the get-go when, we bought a house and we bought a car, and you're like, this is your house, this is your car. And at some point it's going to be yours and blah, blah, blah. And just, you're going to leave me. And it's like, holy crap, I had no intentions of leaving her. There was such noise inside of her that she was looking for some way for me to rid those feelings
and to stay in the familiar circumstances and to remain safe. To remain alive.
Yeah. One day we're going to sing this song together and everybody's going to sing it. Now, and we might be talking semantics here. So, but I think it's more. I think it's more valuable to understand, and it's there to keep you alive. Okay, but the point being is, this isn't just an Angie thing. Angie had all this stuff flying around in her, this insecurity and these stories of abandonment and rejection, and I'm just going to leave her at some point. She had all those stories. I had my own that she wasn't doing enough for me, that she wasn't giving me what I wanted, and she wasn't the porn star that I wanted her to be, and all of this stuff. That she wasn't affirming me, she wasn't touching me enough. All of these things that were going on that were all internal conflicts that I was depending on her to read my mind of what I needed, and when she couldn't do that, spoken or unspoken expectations, when she couldn't do that, then I took it out on her like it was her fault. And really, that's a very survival-based lifestyle. And that's when you enter a relationship where 1 + 1 = 0.5, right? Think about that. 1 + 1 = 0.5. You and me together, we were less than 1.
Yeah.
No, we actually hurt each other and tore each other down. Yeah. We were worse off individually and in relationship because of the way that we were showing up.
Yep.
Is that true?
100%.
That is a survival-based relationship. And then some people, when I say, hey, what's the dynamics of a healthy relationship? 1 + 1 = 2. No. If a relationship is 1 + 1 = 2, then you got the wrong relationship. Because a healthy, creative, creation-based, empowering relationship, 1 + 1 = greater than 2. You're greater together, and the reason you stay together is because you, as an individual, you are better because of the other person, and the relationship is better because of each of your contributions.
Well, I look at, I'm makes me a whole person, a good makes you a whole person, and then our relationship and how we show up together is a whole person. And does that make sense at all? It's like the three. That's just, I see us too.
Yeah, and I would say because of you, I'm greater than 1.
Yeah,
just by your presence. This is why I'm saying you make me there's a conscious relationship, right? So a survival-based relationship, you attack, and when we got some other stories to tell about the survival-based relationship and how we showed up. Because I think this is going to be probably the most valuable episode in the series. But in the survival-based relationship, you're both depleted because of each other. I used to tear you down endlessly.
Right.
I used to physically, mentally, and emotionally challenge you and deplete you. And I'm going to take ownership of that. But that's what I also received.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Right. So it was reciprocal.
Yeah.
Never one toxic person in a toxic relationship. So I would get torn down no matter how hard I worked, no matter what I provided for the family, no matter
how much your raises were, no matter
how I showed up, whether Mike, you need to come home early, and I'd come home early, and there'd be something else that I would get nagged for. It was just constant, both ways. Both ways. This isn't a one-way street. It's important for me to. I can recall it from my perspective easily, but this is not a one-way street. It was an equal street fight. It was, and it was all based on survival.
Yeah,
it's about trying to fill ourselves up through each other. And nobody can do that for you.
Yeah, Jerry Maguire, that movie really ruined a lot of people when they came out with that damn line, "You complete me."
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. You can't complete another person.
Now, we made a lot of changes.
Yeah.
And we did a lot of things. Yeah. And we did a lot of work. What do you think helped? And there's probably no one answer.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing out something to stimulate your thought process. What can you point at to say whatever made a huge difference? Just give me one of something that made a huge difference in us moving from a survival-based relationship to a creation-based relationship.
It was the work I did on myself.
For you.
For me.
Yeah.
It was the work that I started doing on myself and starting to see these buried traumas and these buried emotions and these buried fears, and understanding that all of those things, and also recognizing that you're seeing your changes and seeing your growth, and then that's really it was as I started clearing my shit out. I mean, I like to say I describe it as a boxing ring where we both went to our separate corners. And I worked on my shit, you worked on your shit, and then we came back together in the middle, and it was like, okay, are we going to keep these gloves on, or are we going to take them off?
Would you say, this is a leading question?
Okay.
But I'm helping you exactly what you just said.
Okay.
I'm just putting a different, like shining a light in a different direction. Would you say that actually taking a look at yourself and taking ownership of what was going on in your body was the thing that kind of like leveled you up?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think that's what going to your own corner is.
Yeah.
When you said taking a look, right? Going, doing your own
accountability. Absolute personal responsibility. APR. We used to talk about that so much back in the day.
Responsibility. It's going and saying, look,
fucked up.
I've got
Got
these
some shit.
things. There's these parts of me that I've tried to ignore, or I've tried not to look at, or I've tried not to see, or I've tried to get you to try to take away from me or whatever. And they're mine and I own them and nobody else owns them. And I'm not a victim of anything. Right?
And you know what? It's not even take away from me. It's proved me right.
Yeah.
Right. You know, like with all things, say when you would threaten divorce. See, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right.
I remember saying that so many times. You're proving me right. You're proving me right.
Yeah. Well, my favorite story was Mother's Day.
Oh gosh.
And look,
this is a good one.
It is, but I love it. So first off, the divorce thing that happened all the time. It's like you were trying to get me to divorce you so that you could say that all the threats that you've ever were right.
Yeah.
You didn't want to get divorced, but you said it so often. It's like you were trying to get me to do the thing so that you could finally be right.
Yeah.
And as our good friend Brian Schroeder says, is I wanted to be right more than I wanted to be successful.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he said or in his words, I wanted to be right more than I wanted to be rich.
Yeah.
Right. And when he gave up the need to be right, then he became rich.
Yeah.
But the point being is you wanted to be right instead of being like in a relationship.
How stupid.
I know.
God.
But here's my favorite story.
Oh my gosh, this is
my
hilarious.
favorite survival-based story. All right. Mother's Day. Girls were
no, it was just Katie.
No. It was both. It was both.
No,
you weren't. It was me, you, and Megan, and the girls were very young. It was like 6 and 8, something like that. It was late 2000s. It was somewhere around 2008, 2000, somewhere in that range. It was somewhere in there, maybe 6 and 4. So somewhere in those age ranges. The girls were very, very young, and me and the girls wanted to take Mom out for Mother's Day. And me and the girls were really excited to take Mom out for Mother's Day. Now, we weren't going to like her favorite restaurant because the girls really love Buffalo Wild Wings, and it's the only place that could keep them occupied. And where they had great beer selection and everybody loved the food. So it's not like we were going to a real fancy place, but we were going to go take Mom out and celebrate Mother's Day. And we were excited. We talked about it all morning, and we were excited to tell Angie that we're going to take her out for Mother's Day. And she said, "You're only doing that out of obligation. I don't want to go out for dinner." What were you thinking?
No, I don't. I can't. There's nothing I can say to even just. I wasn't thinking.
But we spent all day, and I'm talking about hours, trying to convince
literally hours
that we really wanted to take you out.
And then when they said, "Okay, well, we won't go,"
like after hours.
After you said that, I really wanted to go out for Mother's Day. Oh my God, this sounds so ridiculous.
But we spent hours trying to convince her we really want to take you out. You just kept saying the word obligation.
You're only doing it because it's Mother's Day.
You're only doing it. Like, no, we want to. And we probably spend 4 or 5 hours trying to convince you.
And that is not an exaggeration.
We spent 4 to 5 hours trying to convince you that we were excited to take you out for Mother's Day. Then finally, we were like, I was like, "All right, Angie, we won't go." You're like, "Oh,
I really wanted to go out for Mother's Day."
Wanted to go out. Like, holy shit, you're giving me no way to win. and then like I grabbed you and I held on to you and I'm like, "Why are you fighting this so hard?" And you said, "I don't know."
Because I didn't know what I saw.
And there was so much angst. And there was so much pain, and there was so much insecurity, and there was so much inadequacy, and there were so many stories and beliefs inside of there that nothing could take it away. And you were looking for something inside to take it away.
Oh my gosh, that story still makes me laugh.
And that's the kind of stuff that we do when we're in a survival-based relationship. It doesn't always have to be that delusional, but when there's constant drama, constant conflict, even when there's patterns of drama and patterns of conflict and patterns of guilt and shame, anger, threats, blame, when there's unspoken expectations, when there's this idea that you need to take care of the other person's wants and needs and desires, and you need to fulfill all that stuff, you're living in a survival based relationship. And Angie, one time we were doing a podcast episode, and I brought up the idea, hey, what are your thoughts on the five love languages? And you're like, oh, don't get me started. That's a whole podcast episode, because all that book does is not all that book does, but a lot of people approach that book like, once I know their love language, it's up to me to fulfill it. And that it's a greater reference book to understand the other person's love language, but it's their job to own their love language.
It's their job to own their love language. And I think that the one place where that book has a fatal flaw is that it teaches from that space rather than learning the other person's love language and having the ability to recognize how they show you love, because people show you love in the way that in their love language. Mm-hmm. So instead of saying, hey, I want gifts, it's, I know your acts of service, physical affection, those are yours. And so, okay. Oh, so he's showing me love by doing the dishes, by hugs, by things like that. But and that's just not my love language. I'm gifts, or I'm experiences, like I'm just quality time. Mm-hmm. And that's how I show my love. And it's right, being able to recognize that in the other person.
Yeah, for sure. And understand they're living their life through their love language, because that's what's most natural to them. Yeah. That's their greatest instinct, is because that's how they're built, to give in that way, right? When I cook you dinner, I am literally, that is an act of love for me, because and especially if you ask me, the greatest love thing, the thing that you can do for me to feel loved, and it sounds ridiculous, but is to say, hey, make me a pot of chicken noodle soup. It's like, you just filled me up. You just filled me up by asking me to go into service for you. Now I get to go to the grocery store. I get to cook you. Then I get to serve you. Then I get to clean up. There's nothing like that fills my bucket up.
But I don't want to go too far into this, but I just want to point out, since we're getting so close to the good old Valentine's Day, I think that what people don't recognize is there are so many things on that love languages list that cause a lot of anxiety. I know for you, like date night plan, like things like that, date planning and all of that stuff, and gift giving, that causes you a lot of anxiety and a lot of frustration, because it's just not natural for you. And why would I put that expectation on you, on the person that I love more than anyone in this world? Why would I want to add pain and frustration and angst and stress into your strife, into your life? That's, to me, that's just backwards.
My love language is physical affection, mm-hmm. and acts of service. So think about that sexually.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right. And all those years, I expected you to be a porn star. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
I was just trying to have those two love languages touch. And that's not mm-hmm. in her DNA. So to expect her to either be that or become that, all it's going to do is cause her to go out of alignment with her most natural state of being. All right. Now, if I say, hey, it's go time, she says yes. Mm-hmm. And if she says, hey, I want to go buy a bottle of perfume, I'm like, let's go. Mm-hmm. But I'm not going to buy her a bottle of perfume, and she's not going to initiate sex. Yeah. That's just kind of how she's built. And most people are like, no, I need my partner to do X, Y, Z. Mm-hmm. And that's why you're still living in a survival-based relationship. Now we're going to move to a conscious-based relationship. We spent the first 40 minutes talking about survival-based, because I think that's the most important part. Now, in your best words, in your best way, describe a conscious-based relationship, a conscious relationship where two people are operating in not independence, not codependence, but interdependence, mm-hmm. where 1 + 1 = 3, mm-hmm. and where both people are fulfilled within the relationship.
Yeah, so I was thinking about this, knowing this was our topic today, and it's kind of hard for me to really put into words. You're much better at the words thing than I am.
You're better looking than me.
Well, thank you. But communication and understanding, and just, I think it's a lot of observation
Mhm.
of the other person and seeing how they operate and how they tick and what their love language is and what are their triggers and what are their responses, and just having all that understanding and being able to communicate those things at a level that is very safe and
Mhm.
vulnerable,
Sure.
and knowing that this is not, it's not me, my problem against you, or your problem against me. It's us.
Against
It's
the problem.
us against that trigger or that hurt or that or whatever it is. I think it's just understanding that this is the partnership is solid, and it's we're in this together and not separate. It used to be me against you, and now it's us.
Threats of divorce in a conscious relationship?
Oh no.
No, it hasn't been
No.
a threat of divorce
No.
or of separation
Nope.
in close to a decade.
Yep. No. And I mean, yeah, of course we still have our silly tiffs, but they
Yeah,
oh,
they're
they're
very
very
short-lived.
short. They used to be weeks. We wouldn't speak. We would go to separate rooms. And no, there's none of that anymore.
And it doesn't mean you don't get triggered.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't mean
Mhm.
you don't get triggered. In my book, the book that was released in August, Inner World, Outer World, I talk about a spiritual relationship. And inside of a spiritual relationship, there's a mutual agreement that we are going to get triggered. And when we get triggered, the person who's triggered, it's their job to clean that shit up.
Yeah. And I think that we've been able to get to that space of, hey, I'm recognizing this and you need to go figure that shit out and come back in a little bit.
Yeah.
And
somebody gets,
and being safe, and that's safe for us to do.
and somebody gets angry, and it's their job to clean up that anger, not the other person to change their behavior. It's because a conscious relationship, and this just came to mind.
Okay.
A conscious relationship is built on the foundation of an unbreakable commitment to work on everything together, without guilt, shame, anger, threats, and blame. Or when they show up, you take ownership of one of those weapons of the week, and you bring yourself to a place of letting the other person know that you don't want to show up that way, and that they didn't deserve that, and that you are you're going to actively work on that because you were triggered, and you reactively backlashed on the person, and the trigger was an act of service, because that's how we grow. We grow through our triggers. As we're triggered, we see our growth opportunities, right? You see the stories, you see the beliefs, you see the pain. A trigger is from a place of pain, right?
Yeah.
Take an orange, take a knife, put the knife in the orange. And if you're watching on video, you see my little graphic like of my hands, and you take the knife and put it inside the orange, and you twist around the knife, and you pull it back out, and the orange juice starts to come out. And did the knife create the orange juice? No, the knife didn't create the orange juice, but the knife revealed the orange juice. So if I say, hey, you look beautiful today, and you were like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? Like, the words didn't cause that, right? You felt something inside, and you're thinking that the words that I just said caused that. It's your job to go and take that and take a look at that. Why did those words trigger me?
It's the thorns.
The thorns. That anger, whatever came up for you, guilt, shame, anger, blame, threats, whatever, jealousy, envy, whatever showed up, that emotion that showed up inside of you, that's yours to own and yours to clean up. The outside circumstances just reveal them. They don't create them. All right. And we can start to take a higher level of ownership and authority over our own life and our own circumstances. But when we're just walking down the steps, and I got coming down to record this, and I got triggered, and I was like, whatever, not like violently, but there was no threats of where we'll leave each other or separate or divorce, and that's it's silly. We're going to do this for the rest of our lives. And this is what for better or worse means. And this is what, till death do us part means. And those words to us they're sacred. And that's not from a religious perspective. I get emotional. Those words aren't from a religious perspective, and they're not an obligation, because that's an I get to. It's like, I get to do this for the rest of my life with this person that I cherish and I love, and I just want to see succeed, and I want to succeed with her, and I want to succeed for her and because of her, and I just want to do this together, for better or worse. And sometimes it's really, really good, and sometimes maybe it's not. We're going through a little bit of a not a dark period, but a little challenging period in our business. And it's like, we're going to traverse it together. Like, but there's no escape plan.
Right.
And that's the point. There always used to be an escape plan.
Yes.
And that's a spiritual relationship. And that's a very conscious relationship. All right. And it's built upon growth. And I'll share from my perspective that she's my greatest champion. I'm her greatest champion. I do everything I can to empower her. The thing that we got in a tiff over is she was upstairs and we're going to do a podcast episode, and it's Wednesday. So it's her day to curl her hair. And I'm like, nobody cares how you look on the podcast. And I started like getting a little like, come on, let's go, bro. Stop worrying about what you look like. And that's all a projection of me for years, worrying about how everybody perceived me.
And that's when I said, don't worry about what I'm doing. I mean, I curled my hair and put it back, so I don't want to deal with it, but it was still hair curling day, so I did it.
Yeah. So, but that's, those are the little things, and I get to shine a light on that and say, why did that thing bother me so much? She's not a bad person. She had no bad intentions. And that's what a conscious relationship is built on.
Is recognizing those things is that nothing that you do, I look at with any negative intentions, even,
mutually beneficial intentions.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And recognizing that, when those outbursts happen from either side, knowing that, oh shit, okay, just hit a trigger, they're going to work through that, and just try and knowing, and it's trust and vulnerability.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
for sure.
That's to me. And when I'm talking with women in the mastermind who are struggling with relationship issues, and we're not counselors or whatever, we're only speaking from our experience, but so many people can't have those conversations where it's just so surface level that and basically, based on what society says is normal. And once people start to learn that, okay, we can have these conversations, we can learn about each other with our soul sciences and the things of the sort, and
sure.
and learning about who our partner is at their core.
On the soul science, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm building on to that.
Yeah.
And our soul science is called, because for years when she would say that, I would say something and it was almost like I was countering what she was saying. And I always want to make sure that's the empowerment part, right? The empowerment part of a relationship is, I want to make sure she understands, for whatever, there's still this unconscious thing.
Well, because I expect that's how it felt to me. And I know now that that's not your intention.
Because I was always being critical, and I was always going over top of her to correct her. So when I do that and I stop there, I can see this little,
what I do,
whatever. And then I say, nope, I'm going to build on it. And then I can see her kind of relax a little bit, and it happens a lot. But the point is we are each built with a design, a unique design. We are each built with a unique purpose, and we are each built with a unique destiny. And what a conscious relationship is, a bonded conscious relationship, are two people living their own design, serving their own purpose, and living their own destiny together.
Yes.
Together. And those destinies, those designs, those purposes, and those destinies build on each other. They don't collide with each other.
Yes.
They don't build. They're not in conflict with each other. Neither person needs to be sacrificed. Neither person needs to be martyred. Neither person needs to be less than themselves. They don't need to devalue themselves. They don't need to give up their dreams. They don't need to give up their ambitions. They don't need to give up their hopes. They don't need to give up anything. They just need to take their designs, their purpose, their destinies, put them together, and build on that. 1 + 1 = 3.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
And the collaboration of two people living their design, their purpose, and their destiny, that when they're conscious, they're creative, they're not destructive.
Yeah.
And that survival relationship, in order for me to get what I wanted, in order for you to get what you wanted, both of us had to be different people, and we had to be less than who we really were.
Yeah, the word that just came to me was competitive.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
when you just have a competing, when it feels like you're just and not competitive in that sense, but just always having to have the edge up or the leg up or be right and
To be right. To be
Yeah.
right. We're always looking to be right.
Right.
Right. We try,
Mhm.
even if we had to make the other person wrong,
Yeah.
we always wanted to be right.
Right.
And we weren't really looking for times where how can we both be right?
Yeah.
It was how can I make you wrong so I can feel right?
Right.
That's all inadequacy.
Yeah. Two things can be true at the same time.
That's right. That was all inadequacy.
Mhm.
And what I like to, when I talk about creation mode versus survival mode, there's 3 voices of survival mode: insecurity, inadequacy, and insignificance.
Mhm.
And those are inner conflicts in us that we tend to try to solve through external circumstances and rearranging the external world. And in a relationship, when I feel insecure, inadequate, and insignificant, and I don't know what to do with it, I'm going to try to get you to do something different so that I can resolve.
Right.
Not I can resolve, so that those states can be resolved inside of me. And if those states aren't being resolved, then you're not doing enough,
Yeah.
right? And you're not giving enough, and you're not you're not serving me enough, because I still feel this insecurity, inadequacy, and insignificance. And that's delusional. That's not a conscious relationship. It's just survival based.
Yeah.
You're trying to get the other person to solve an internal conflict. The only voice of creation mode is inspiration. I get to, not I have to. I get to be married to you. I get to wake up next to you. I get to spend the rest of my life with you. I get to serve you. I get to empower you. I get to inspire you. I get to lift you up. I get to encourage you. I get to see you shine. I get to see you stumble. I get to see you not have it all figured out. I get to see you figure shit out. I get to see you confused, and I get to see you clear. I get all of it.
Mm.
I don't have to any of it.
Yep.
It's all a privilege.
No.
And that's what a conscious relationship is. And that changes everything, because then you never feel alone again. And if you do feel alone, you've just entered survival territory, and it's time to get yourself back into creation territory, because there's an inner conflict in you that's raging. Nobody can make you feel loved. Nobody can make you feel lovable. Nobody can make you feel appreciated. Nobody can make you feel respected. Nobody can make you feel valued. Nobody can make you feel valuable. Nobody can make you feel worthy. And nobody can make you feel anything more than you are choosing to feel at any given time. That's all your work. And if you think the power to change those things is outside of you, then you are living in survival mode, and you are giving up the power that's rightfully yours. And in a conscious relationship, you take back your power together. But I take back my power, she takes back her power, and together that power becomes even more powerful. Whew, that was a good little ramble.
Yeah, it was.
Shoot, I got like snot coming out of my nose
I got
because
plenty
I got
of tissues
emotional.
over here. If you
Wow. That was
need them.
good. Ha, I got a lot off my freaking soul. That
Good.
felt good.
Yeah.
Any closing shots?
There's nothing to say after that. I can't. Yeah. No, that was beautiful, honey.
This has been fun. This whole thing has been fun. Guys, I hope that a survival-based relationship and a conscious-based relationship is more clear. I hope this episode serves you wherever you are in any of your relationships. Years ago, Angie said to me that that we are going to be doing work together with couples. And my immediate resistance, my immediate stop sign went up, and I was like, the fuck we are. I am not a couples counselor, and I am not interested in doing any couples therapy. And the work that we're doing right now, and we have couples in the Inner Wealth Mastermind. If any of you are interested in joining and shifting from survival-based relationships into creation-based relationships, or from survival mode into creation mode in any aspect of your life where everything goes from an I have to and I get to, we'd love to chat with you. We don't just take couples. We do take people that are riding solo or single. The point being is we keep shining lights on, well, going back to the couples thing right now. I think we are feeling more powerful in our ability to help two people inside of a relationship become more whole, complete within themselves, and then see the relationship thrive from there. Every once in a while, we run into a couple that they think they're going to grow individually and are going to become more compatible, and they actually become less compatible. But there are some people that once they start doing the personal work, the individual work, the self-mastery work together, they become even more unbreakable than they ever thought they were.
Yeah.
And if any of that sounds interesting, we're going to be doing more of this in the coming months.
Yep.
You excited for that?
Very much.
We're not just becoming a couples and a marriage business,
No,
but
not at all. I think it's just we recognize the importance of doing this work together, and I just want to take that forward.
And we have a lot of stories to share. We teach from experience, but as I say in the Inner Wealth Mastermind all the time, and in my work, in the community, and in my work, we teach from messiness, not mastery.
Yep.
We're not there, but
never will be there. There is no
there. But as we clean up our mess, we can teach other people how to clean up their messes and at least shine a light on them. All right. Months ago, months ago, I went in and designed a program, and I can't remember what it's called, but it was a couples retreat.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I do.
I can't remember what it was called, but it was a couples retreat, and it was going to be two great people, a great relationship that was looking to level up from there. It wasn't taking a poor relationship to a good relationship. It was taking a great relationship to something even greater. Because I think that's what we do every day. We take our great relationship and make it even greater and keep building on that. I've got an appetite for some of that, but for helping people clean up their messy marriage, not interested.
No, don't come up to it. No, we don't take your problems.
Good. Well, great to greater. All right, guys, love you. Thank you for sticking with us. Next week is all about the nervous system. And we're going to focus on addiction. Do you know anybody who might know anything around here about addiction?
Yes, and she's about to sneeze her ass off. So.
And it's not just her. but that is addiction is very much based on them. And we're not counselors, and we don't have any licenses, but our experience is it's very much based on the nervous system and the ability or inability to manage the nervous system and to understand what's happening in the nervous system. So we're going to dive deep into that. Hope you join us. Thank you for joining us this time. We got a long way to go, but we're going to have a lot of fun getting there.